Okay, so this is the clay chicken recipe. This is a awesome recipe I learned how to do it's a couple of decades ago. I learned this from Chef Anton Brunbauer. I worked with him at the Hyatt Regency Gainey Ranch out in Scottsdale, Arizona. And the reason why I'm going to show you this recipe, which it's so cool, is because it really connects with the chapter when we were looking at, and you were doing the discussion on emu cooking with, cooking the pig underground. This is very similar. This is a Native American version of emu, IMU, the Polynesian version where they take the pig and they actually cook it wrapped around banana leaves and burlap and cooked underground. This is similar. This is going to be cooked in chicken. So love this recipe. I haven't made this recipe in a long time, but again, we used to cook this at the restaurant I used to work at, and when it comes out, and you'll see it at the very end of this video, when it comes out, it looks like a clay pot because the clay is all cooked around the chicken, and we would actually take it out tableside and take a knife and just crack it tableside right in front of the guest. It was a beautiful dish. It wasn't cheap. We used free-range chicken back then at that point in time. I didn't go to that extent here. But again, it's a really nice recipe, and it's actually very simple. And I made it at home a few times, but I haven't actually made this in a long time. So let's go over the ingredients, the mise en place, as we like to call it, real quick. And it's really pretty simple. This is the protein part of it. Obviously, it's the chicken, and you could serve any side dish with this. We used to serve a jalapeno cornbread stuffing with it. This would go great with rice, with pasta, with anything, with potatoes, with anything. So here we go. I'm going to ask my camera lady, who's my daughter, Isla, to kind of zoom in on the ingredients over here. So Isla, why don't you come over here and just hold the camera right over this table here. And I'm making two, okay? I'm making two of these. So let's go to the chicken first here, Isla. So right here I have two chickens, and what I did was I butterflied them. I took the spine out, and I'm going to show this to you in a second. But I more or less I marinated it in an herb teriyaki marinade for about a half an hour, and then I took it out of that marinade and then just rolled it on a very hot grill. Just put some marks on it real quickly, probably about 20 seconds aside on my grill outside, and you can see the marks here. It's still raw. It's still very much raw chicken, but that's going to give it a little bit of flavor, a little smoky, a little grill flavor on the chicken, which is real nice. And you could just marinate it and do it, but I think marking it off on the grill really adds a little bit more flavor to it. So again, these are two chickens, and they're 2.5 pounds. And let's cut to the video where I kind of show you how I fabbed it out and how I marinated it, and we'll come right back. All right, so the chicken, 2 chickens I'm using, okay? They're from Springer Farms, I believe is where I got them. I got them at Detweiler's. I have 2 of them. Each one's about 2.5 pounds, 2.6 pounds. And I've actually taken the spine out. So if you look right here on this chicken, this was whole. You know how you get them in the store like this? And then I actually cut with my knife. I had it flipped upside down, and I actually cut the spine completely out. So now this is what's called butterflied. Okay, so now I can open it up, which is what I want. These you can use for chicken stock, so I always freeze these until I get a bunch, and then you can make chicken stock with them. So I have 2 of these, and again, these 2 will feed 4 people easily. The marinade is 50% herb marinade, 50% teriyaki sauce. That was the original recipe that Anton Brunbauer and I used to do when I was working at the hotel. And I have this right here. When I say herb marinade, it can be any kind of herbs. And this one I have, leftover parsley stems, leftover cilantro, a little bit of thyme, and I have a little squeezed lemon, and then olive oil, light olive oil. And then it's 50-50. So I puree that up by itself with the herb marinated. So it's just like an oil herb marinade, and then I put the same amount of teriyaki sauce, any kind of store-bought teriyaki sauce. You could just use soy sauce if you want, but this is the actual teriyaki sauce, Kikkoman teriyaki sauce, but again, soy sauce is fine too. The teriyaki has a little sweet in it. So again, I've got to marinate these. I only need to marinate these for about a half an hour. And I have Ziploc bags here. They're heavy-duty Ziploc bags, and I should be able to fit these in each bag, no problem. So first put them into the bag, and then we're going to just pour the marinade right on top. I like the Ziploc. I like using Ziploc bags what that allows me to do is to not need as much marinade. I don't waste as much marinade. If I were to put this in a bowl, and again, I'm being very careful, of course, handling raw chicken here. I'm going to clean this whole board off, this whole table off. But again, the Ziploc bags are great because it allows me to just pour it pour the marinade into the Ziploc like this. And then I'll lay it flat. And if you can zoom in here, my awesome daughter who's filming this, I'll just zoom in here and kind of show them what's going on here. If you see, I can just kind of real easily take the air out of the bag, and it really forces the marinade around the chicken. You see that? So if I were to put this in a bowl, I'd probably have to use 3 times as much to have it submerged. You don't need to do that if you get a Ziploc bag. It's great. And these are heavy duty Ziploc. So I'm just gonna move it around a little bit, and I'm gonna clean up this cutting board table really good. I'm gonna put these into the refrigerator on a clean sheet pan and just let it marinate for about a half hour. Half hour to an hour is fine. You don't want to do it too long because the teriyaki sauce will start to cook the chicken actually. And that's it. And then what's going to happen after this is I'll take them out of the bag. And when you saw them previously in the beginning of the video, you saw they had some grill marks on it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take them out of the marinade in about a half hour, an hour. Just roll them on a hot grill, not cooking them through, just roll them on the grill for a quick minute, if that. Get them off the grill, they're still raw, and that's where you saw them earlier. Thank you. Okay, great. So that was how we did the chicken. And if you can just scan down here one more time, Isla, again, this is what it's gonna look like after it marinates for a half an hour and it's rolled on the grill. And again, you're not cooking it on the grill, okay, folks? You're just marking it off on the grill to give it some of these nice marks here, and we're gonna come back to that. So that's obviously the main, that's the star of the show here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stuff each one of those chickens with this this mirepoix here and a little bit extra. And so this, as you can see, it's the same thing on either side. I have some ginger here. This is going to be stuffed into the chicken. I have some thyme, have a little garlic, a little carrot, celery. This is just a little pile of herbs. These are just leftover stems that I would probably throw away if I didn't use them. But I like using them on a marinade. But in this case, I'm stuffing them in each chicken, and then I just have some onion scrap ends right here. Okay, and as you can see on either side of me, and I'm going to move these over, I have the clay right here. So this is the clay. Let me talk about this real quickly. So, I'm not sure, you get the camera right at the clay there, Isla? Mm-hmm. The block here. So this is clay that I got from a local artist. She has a pottery class. It's Carla's Pottery Supplies. And she also does classes. It's right here in Sarasota, but if no matter where you are, there's probably a pottery supply store near you. This is a specific kind of clay. Obviously, it's lead-free. It's a high-temp clay, so it does real well in the oven. We're only going to have the oven at 350, so it works real well. And as you can see, this is the big block, and I'll just show them these 2 pieces right here. Each one of these is going to have a chicken in it. Okay, so let me just, and this is wet. It's wet pottery clay. Okay, really pliable, it's wet. And let me just show you how I cut it off. So you buy it in a block. You buy it in the whole block. This cost, I believe this was like 20 bucks. And I could probably make about 3 chickens with this. And obviously it was about 3 times the size of this. And I just have some fishing twine here, or some fishing line here. Works real well to cut it. And I'm not gonna cut it again, but I'm just gonna show you. I will zoom in real quick, real close there. If you can I just put it maybe about a 3/4 of an inch on either side, and then hopefully you can see that, Isla. You just follow it down and you cut them. You cut each little slab, and so I cut 2 of these and I combined them into one. Okay, so I would say this is probably about 12 inches by maybe 10 inches. It depends how big your chicken is. Okay, so I'm going to move this over to the side, and we're going to wrap these up. So again, this is for 1 chicken. This is for 2 chickens. And again, this one piece right here is actually 2 cuts, and I just put them together and just kind of banged them down with my hand. This is the fun part. You can shape this clay and you want to take it down to about a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch thick is what you're kind of looking for. And I think this size right here, maybe 12 by 10, I'm guessing, is going to be plenty big enough for each little clay, for each little chicken there. Okay. All right. So let's stuff them. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take some parchment paper and take your chicken, put it right in the middle, and then I'm just going to stuff it with all these great things here. Okay, so I just took everything in one hand and I just put it right in the middle there. And again, it's important to, as you saw in the video, to take the spine out and butterfly it. So when I was training people how to do this, I would always just tell them, okay, now you're just making a burrito. Okay, so you take this parchment paper, fold it over. You want to get it as tight as possible, right? You want to get it as tight as possible because you want to seal in all the great flavor, right? I'm going to go this way. Okay. Then put it right in the middle of the clay. Okay. And then I think I measured this correctly. I got lucky. I haven't made this in a while, right? So you kind of fold it over, press it down. And I have some excess clay here, so I'm going to actually cut this off. Cut off the extra clay. Now, you see the paper obviously keeps the chicken clean. So when you actually take it out of the oven, it's going to be clean enough to eat, right? So again, it's inside there, wrapped in parchment paper. And then at this point, I'm just kind of sealing the ends here. Let me know if my head's in the way, Isla. And again, I've got it fairly tight. Put it right over there. And then I'm just kind of sealing it back up, right? So wrap it in the clay, seal it up. You want to get it as close to airtight as you can. It's not going to be perfect, right? And then this clay, you can have clay that gets too old and it's not as soft as this, but this clay is brand new. I just got it today, so it's really soft. It's very easy to kind of mold. So I'm just sealing off the ends. You got a good shot on that, Isla? Mm-hmm. And again, everything is contained in here. And then I like to kind of just give it like one little bang on each side. And then it's ready to go. Okay, so that's one. And it's wet right now. And here's the thing. Can you see my face?
Yeah.
This is going to, again, cook in a 350-degree oven. And here's the trick, though. You want to have the oven cold. You do not want to have the oven preheated. We're going to put this on a sheet pan, as you'll see me do. We'll put this onto a sheet pan. We're going to put it in an ice cold oven, and then we're going to turn it on 350 and cook it. Probably take about 15 minutes to have it preheat, and then probably cook it like another hour and 45 minutes. That's all it's going to take. And what will happen is, as you'll see at the end, the clay will cook. It'll get hard as a rock, as it does, right? And then the chicken will cook inside of this as if it was underground. And the flavor is fantastic because the flavor is locked inside of there. Okay, let's just do one more. Okay, just to show you that I didn't get lucky with the first one. So we'll take again another piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to wash my hands. And so while I'm washing my hands, I think the very first time I did this, I was a young cook, and I was so excited to make it that I don't think I paid attention too good. And what happened was I had a preheated oven, so I had a hot oven, and I cooked them off, and I was wondering why the clay was cracking and blowing up all over the place, and it was because of that. So when you do put this in the oven, just make sure the oven's cold. This is the second bird. Again, you want to, parchment paper. You can get parchment paper anywhere, right? And again, this is, you can stuff this with anything. You don't have to stuff it with what I even showed you, but we would always do mirepoix, which is carrot, celery, onion, and then I always love throwing in ginger. You know what I forgot, Isla? I used to always throw in lemongrass too, but I didn't throw in lemongrass on this one.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna turn this around just because I'm kind of used to doing it. So wrap it up and just think burrito. You want to get it nice and tight. Okay. So even if the parchment paper rips on you, it's better just to start over again. You want to get a really good tight wrap on that. Got the clay on there. Give it a little crimp on either side. And then I like laying it on its seam like that, and when I press down on the sides, it actually gives a little bit of a better seal. And then you definitely want to cut the excess clay off, and you can use this again on another one. If you don't cut off the excess clay, it'll probably take a little bit longer to cook. It'll throw off your timing, and it's just a waste that it'll take up too much space in your oven anyway. So cut off any remaining clay there. Now I'm going to turn it back over to make sure it's sealed here. Sometimes if you get some clay that's been sitting around, if you forget to use it all up and you want to use it again, if it's a little dried out, you can just get some water and keep your hands wet, and you can almost always bring the clay back to life a little bit. Okay, then I'm gonna kind of smush close up that seam there. Again, it's not going to be airtight, but it'll be darn close. I mean, there's still air obviously inside of there. So now again, 350 is key, because if the oven's on, if it's too hot, it'll certainly crack. Okay, and then just for aesthetics, a little bang on the other side, and there we go. So we have two. So what you could also do on this too is you could take a knife, and you could sketch something on there or carve somebody's name into it, and that's what it'll look like after it cooks. Okay, so now all we're going to do is we're going to get a sheet pan that I have right here, and I'm going to put a little kitchen spray. And the reason why I put the kitchen spray on here is that if for some reason it does crack and a little bit of the juice pops, kind of oozes out, that's okay. But I don't want it to kind of stick to the sheet pan. So I'll put the clay chickens right on there. And then this oven is ice cold. All around there, Isla. And I'm going to put this right in here. And there we go. And it goes 350 for about an hour 45 minutes, depends how big it is. Okay, we used to do the same technique with whole turkeys too. We put them on a big sheet pan, and we would be able to cook whole turkeys in the same way. So I'm going to let these cook for about an hour and 45 minutes. We'll come back and I'll show you the finished product. Look at these things. So they are all done. Come over here, Isla. Listen to this. So these just came out of the oven. They're about an hour and a half, 90 minutes. Listen, come in close. See? Cooked clay. It's beautiful. It cooked in its own pot. So the best way to open these, and we used to do this in the restaurant, is we take one of these out. One of these feeds one person. Is we take it and we put a nice linen. This is just an inexpensive kitchen towel. And we would put it on the tray jack right next to the table, and then we talk about exactly the ingredients that were in there, the process, and then we just crack it. Crack it. And take it apart. Once you get it sort of broken up, it comes off very easily. See that? Can you try to get up on top, like coming down? Just get one more. So you want to kind of brush, obviously, all the clay away, so you don't get that on the plate. As you can see, this is pottery clay that's been cooked all the way through, and it kept all the moisture in. And then at that point, we would just tear it open, and then tear the paper open, flip it over, right? And there she is. And that's all the all the filling in there, and it's so tender. It comes right off the bone. Look at that. You don't even need a knife. It comes right off the bone, away from the carcass. And then I would get a fork. Just cut it right inside here, and then just divide it out. See, there's the breast. Right on the plate there. The other thigh leg, and then there's the other breast. And you can tell. Look at this. This chicken is so tender. Look at that. So tender. It's beautiful. And so that's the clay chicken. Very easy to do. Again, hour and a half. A big chicken like that, an hour and a half. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you saw kind of how this connected with cooking around the world. How we can cook underneath the ground, underneath rocks, and certainly inside of rolled out pottery clay. Hope you enjoy it, and once you go out there and do this, try to make this at home.